number one source, Sports Card Nation. The hobby is the people. Sports Card Nation.
Attention, Sports Card Nation viewers. What up, kids? It's your boy Scott Hansen from NFL Red Zone. Oh, we're back. Ball is back. The hobby never ends. And before you know it, I'm going to be on your screen again, rocking that Octobox, knocking the bottom out of the witching hour, and announcing 7 hours of Red Zone football. But as you watch Red Zone, just save some time. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, to check out John and Sports Card Nation. Let's have a great season, people.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to episode 403 of Sports Card Nation. Happy to be back with you. Real quick, I think just wanted to announce the winners of our 400th episode giveaway. I'm only going to use first names. Drake won a card package, as well as Richard. Debbie won a wax box from Upper Deck. Travis won a small box and some slab guards. And 2 Card Ladder Pro yearly memberships went out to Jason and Daryl. So those were our 400 episode giveaway winners. A lot of entries. We could only, we randomized the list and 6 names came out. And that was how it went down. So congrats to those folks. But thank you all for listening and entering, and we appreciate it. I wish I could just give everyone a prize. Unfortunately, that's not how that works. But I do have free stickers. If you ever want a free sticker, just reach out to me on social media or email, and we could figure out a way to get that to you. So, all right. So let's thank our sponsors, SGC, Iron Sports Cards, Sports Collectors Digest, Hobby Outline, Upper Deck, Card Ladder, and the Certified Trading Card Association, and not necessarily in that order. That's just how I rattle them off. All right. First time guest this week and next week. How that is the case, I don't know how it's taken this long of the show. But again, that's more on me than an indictment on the guest. That's an indictment on me. But as the cliche goes, better late than never, and hopefully have him back on down the line as well. Steve Grad, one of the preeminent autograph authentication experts that this hobby has ever seen, and maybe number one on that list. And we're going to talk about a gamut of things, the good, the bad, and the ugly of autographs and certification and all that stuff. So, it's not going to all be roses and sweet music. It's going to be we got to talk about the reality of autographs and the scandals and the forgeries and the fugazis, right? And we're going to talk about the good stuff too. So we're going to talk about both sides of the coin, as they say. So Steve Grad is our guest. He's branching out more on his own. He's always had his own business, but sort of flying under his own flag exclusively, which I think is very cool and good for him. And I got to talk with him some at the National, and just a really good dude. Just enjoys what he does and is passionate and knowledgeable, and you can't put a price on that. So he is our guest this week and next. So without further ado, let's get this show started. Real excited to have my next guest on the Sports Card Nation guest line. Somehow he is a hobby stalwart, or somehow we've never had him on this podcast yet. And that's probably more me than him. Actually, I think it is more me than him. But better late than never, as we always say. Mr. Steve Grad, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I love that intro. It's intense.
Yeah, it's all downhill after that.
I feel like we're watching a football game or it's a Super Bowl. What are
Yeah,
we
you
doing?
want to? Well, I'm a former high school football player and a high school
Okay.
varsity coach, so maybe that has a little something to do with it.
Very
I
cool.
appreciate it. Thank you. You've been in the hobby a while. You grew up in Chicago. For you, when did the hobby start? Again, many people may know this, but this being your first time on
Sure.
this.
Really about 1980. Went to first baseball card show back in Chicago. For people who live out in that area, they used to have a show. It was at the Hillside Holiday Inn. It's right off of 290 and 294 area. And for people that head out of the city, it's off the Eisenhower. But it's the first time that I went to a card show, and I was like, whoa, because I collected cards starting probably when I was about 7. And I had Star Wars and football and some baseball. But then seeing that show in person, it really was like, oh my God, there's tables filled with stuff. There's autographs. Bob Feller was sitting in a corner charging like $2 an autograph. But that was the first time. And then I first went to the National in 83. So, and I've gone to 31 or 32, something like that, of the Nationals. And, the Chicago shows in March and November. And I've been to shows all across the country for years. I've kind of toned it back, though, just because it's the grind is pretty hardcore. So, and it's real. So I'm just keep to the National now, pretty much.
Yeah, I call it the Super Bowl of the hobby. And I guess if you're going to do one, that's it, right? I mean,
It is.
The one we circle, all of us or majority of us circle that week. The nice thing, we know what week it pretty much is every year. I mean, even with myself, I'm in the teaching industry. So I let my supervisor for summer school know I won't be here probably these 3 or 4 days during the week. And I'll be back on the following Monday.
Yeah, it's always a great time to get together and see people you haven't seen in, a year, 2 years. And the thing is, you start on a Tuesday, you wrap, I mean, I do at least, and then I wrap up on a Sunday, but it's like, it goes like that. It goes so fast. You don't think it does, but you're there from 8, 9 in the morning till 6 o'clock at night. And it seems like it's just a flash. I'm usually glad when it's over, though, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's just the show hours. And then the events, in some cases, post show, right? That we do attend occasionally or dinner with friends and whatnot. So, for me, and I'm sure probably likewise for you, like some days you're not getting back to a hotel till 10, 11, or perhaps even later, depending on the event and who's involved. So yeah, you're right. It goes quick. And then at the end, like you need like a vacation from the show,
that is nice. And I think the thing that is really crazy is I see the evolution of the hobby, how it's changed. And, it's always focused centrally around cards. Everything else kind of has its place, but cards have powered it. And when I look back and reflect on it after all these years that I've been, involved in this, I wish I would have probably just stayed with cards on some level because of the, I kind of scratch my head thinking about all the great stuff I had and it's all gone. But I wish in a way I would have kind of stayed with it. But, it is what it is. I grew up in that 80s era of cards, which wasn't, as wasn't spectacular. So, in the 90s either. So, there were some good issues and some good cards, but, we were growing up, with, 78 tops, which was overproduced, and 80 tops, and, all that stuff was just so much of it. I took the autograph route, I guess, because to me, at least in the time, and I still do, I find it really fascinating to be involved in that aspect of the business. For me, at least, that's it's a passion. And, I collected signed cards for years. I've had so many and gotten so many in my life signed, but I like it. But the autographs is where, that's kind of my calling area.
And so that's you can correct me if I'm wrong, Steve. Like getting cards signed, maybe at a ballpark or an event. That's where it started for you. I mean, obviously,
it did.
We didn't have like certified autos and packs as we do now.
It's a lot's changed, and to get them signed, I would go stand, inside the ballpark, and back in Chicago, there was some old school collectors. I mean, there's guys that were still bringing 5,000 count boxes of cards, for the Texas Rangers. So, these guys were out there, hardcore collectors, and then the hotels, I did all that stuff too. So, but it was always cards. And then I elevated my game to photos at some point, which, in hindsight, it's weird. You've seen the explosion of signed cards, what happens, and it's at points where I always thought it would kind of just stop. Like, okay, cards are cool, but now it keeps going on and on. I mean, I just saw the Jackie Robinson, maybe it's a 48 or 49 Bowman's over $1 million. It's going to go for a lot of money in auction. And the 52 Topps Manals, and when those hit auction, they go crazy. I wish I would have gotten one signed years ago.
Yeah. Does that surprise you? Some of the values we're seeing. I'm a Jackie guy. That's out of my budget, but he died young in October of 72. And signing wasn't like it was now. Like, it wasn't as big of a deal like we see it now. Do the values what some of these cards are bringing on the auction block catch you off guard, or is it at this point it's sort of expected?
I'm waiting for the next shoe to drop. I mean, I think, I'm not sure, but maybe you know better than I do. When's the last time a Rue signed Gaudy hit the market? But I think there was 3 years ago, maybe, or it was but they sold in that $500,000, there, maybe that $500,000 range in there.
Yeah.
And I think those cards
bring more.
Yeah. I think you're right. Now how we see how things are going, and I see how the marketplace is going, I think those cards would even, I mean, you might top $1 million on that. Same with Garrick.
Yeah, no doubt. And a guy, again, another example of an athlete, unfortunately, that passed away at a younger age than he should have. And not to make it about dollar signs or but when obviously anyone passes away at a younger age, there's more likely less autographs out there in circulation in comparison to maybe the opposite end. You mentioned Bob Feller, and I kind of chuckled when you mentioned him. I'm originally from New York City. I'm here in Syracuse, Central New York now, so I get to Cooperstown quite a bit. And I've been in Syracuse a while, and it's funny. I'd make 3, 4, 5 trips a year, let's say, to Cooperstown, Steve, and like every time I was there, like Bob Feller was like always there, just signing away. Super nice guy, super friendly, love sharing like stories from his career and things like that. But I joke with friends, like I'd cross the street to another block in Cooperstown, and I'd just seen him at the table, and he was on like the next street too. Side. And obviously, I jest, but it just
he
seemed
was working. He was working it hard.
Yeah. And so when you look at that, he's unfortunately no longer with us either. But no shortage of Bob Feller autos on the market. And listen,
I don't want to stop you. I have to think you made me think of something. Okay.
Yep.
So you're out in Syracuse. So years ago when I worked at auction house, I sourced one of the best signed card collections that I've ever seen was out of Syracuse.
Syracuse. There you go. Yep.
Yeah. And the guy's name was Jeff Morey.
I don't know it. I don't know him by name. I don't know if he's a show. I set up at shows, so maybe I've run into him at a show without knowing his name.
He probably attended shows. He used to write a newsletter back before the days of like the internet, but it was around, in 2001, 2002, it was called the Autograph Report, TAR. And he wrote that.
Yeah.
And he was based out of Syracuse. Like he had like Ernie Davis index cards, stuff like that. Yeah. I mean, because Munson played in the minors there. Yep. So, but he'd gone to the Hall of Fame every year, and starting in, I want to say 52. And he started getting the guys back then. And he'd tell me the stories about it. He did really well in auction, but this is back in 2001. I can't imagine what his stuff would go for now. He had just some amazing cards, a lot of nice ballpoint stuff from the 40s and 50s. It was gorgeous. The cards were beautiful.
Yeah. Yep. Well, there we go. Syracuse reference and cool, and that shows you, right, the hobby and the autograph hobby. It's a worldwide thing and a worldwide phenomenon.
Oh, yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about you. Like, how many autographs would you say you have in your PC yourself?
It's all dwindled down. It was a high number at one point because I had specialized really in Star Wars and I had the 3 sets signed from Topps, 77, 80, and 83. So for Star Wars, Empire, Jedi, I had all 3 of them almost all completed signed. And in May of 22, I put them in golden and got together with Ken and auctioned off 5 just Star Wars lots, and the cards did great. And they went to a friend of mine. So a friend bought he bought the big Star Wars set. And I'd put a lot of time and effort in that. I worked on it for years. But, like collecting now, I'm kind of more on the fringe. I'm not really doing anything anymore. John, the thing is, I got so crazy intense about it and leading up until like COVID, and it got to just be too much. And I think I needed to find a place where I was able to have a happy medium, because too much of it was just too much. And I do like collecting, but I think that I would rather just collect the green dollar bills and put those away now. And listen, collectibles are awesome. And obviously autographs are, I have to tell you, it's been my backbone of my life. It's been my whole life has been involved with autographs. But at some point, I would rather just enjoy myself and not worry about getting this guy on this card and that guy on that card and getting these photos signed. And I need him on my poster. And that's what it kind of devolved into in terms of collecting wise, where I was so into it. I'm worried about getting like the 17th Stormtrooper on my 77 Topps cards. It was just too much. So I had to just kind of just draw it. And I still have pieces I like. Yeah, a lot. There's stuff that I wouldn't ever want to get rid of, but there's some stuff that I stay goodbye to, and I don't mind. I have no issues with it because I want to let someone else enjoy it too. And especially with the Star Wars stuff, I had so much of it was getting kind of like a sickness. I was upwards of 400 to 600 autographs of Hamill, Ford, and Fisher each at one time in 2019. So that's too much. It got to be way too much. Obviously the cards have changed value so much. Now they call them, which is crazy. Mark Hamill signed rookie card. I get a kick out of that. But those things have gone crazy, and I really enjoyed collecting all that stuff for years. But at the end of the day, I'm glad I could do other stuff. Or if I want to, quite truthfully, if I want to do something to my house, or we want to go on a nice vacation, we know we can. So those things are more important than collecting it.
Yeah, and I might be a little bit older than you. I get that. It makes a lot of sense. I think a lot of people probably nodding right there. And
time to hear from one of our great sponsors, but Sports Card Nation will be right back after that.
Iron Sports Cards is your #1 source for all your PSA and other grading submissions. Their elite status improves turnaround times. Heck, they even provide the card savers. Their chat rooms provide updates on all your submissions. They also offer wax options and single cards to cover all the bases. Check them out on Facebook at Iron Sports Cards Group or on the web at ironsportscards.com, or even give them a call at 1-877-IRON-PSA. Rob's got you covered.
Let's go! You are listening to the Sports Card Nation podcast.
It's like asking a parent, who's your favorite kid if they have multiple kids, obviously. But do you have something in your collection? Like, do you have one thing that, people always ask me, John, if you could only keep one card, who is it? It was, speaking of Jackie Robinson, it would be my Jackie Leaf rookie. I don't want to just keep that one card, but to answer the question, is there a piece you own that and I get it's a tough question, but is there one piece that that's your sort of showcase or centerpiece for you for whatever reason? Maybe the first one or just one that
I think that the one piece I would want to just keep if I could. I probably can't. It's not even that big of a deal, but it was a funny story when it happened. It was cool, but my favorite player growing up was Carlton Fisk. So I loved him, and he was a great player, obviously, for the Red Sox and White Sox. But I think in spring training of '90, I went down there, and the White Sox were currently going from they had this old rickety stadium in downtown. It's called Ed Smith Stadium, but they moved to this new stadium in Sarasota, and it was much nicer. But they had to change at the old stadium and then drive to the new stadium. So I'm at the old stadium waiting for players. I see Fisk and I say, hey, and I knew him, we'd known each other. I don't know if it's creepy or stalker-ish, but I used to go see him in the off season. He lived right by where I lived. And
well, listen, I'm going to stick up for you. That's your guy, right? That's your, so yeah, I get
but
that.
I'd gotten to know him, and, I saw him. He goes, hey, follow me to the other ballpark. Let's talk over there. So I followed him, go through this neighborhood, couple neighborhoods, 4 or 5 miles. We get to the new ballpark. He parks. I park right next to him, and I pull out this bat. And he goes, man, where'd you get this bat? That's a game ready. That's out of my locker. And I had bought it at a show for $50. It was at a dealer table. And I said, I just bought it at a show. And he goes, he's like, I'll tell you what, I'll give you a gamer for that one right now. Let's swap because he wanted to use it. So he gave me a game used bat, which he signed to me, which I like. It's not about the value. I've owned his jerseys before, and I've had his rookie bat, and tons of stuff signed by him. But just probably that piece would be it, and maybe something Harrison Ford, maybe the first Harrison Ford autograph I got. Maybe that would be about it. But other than that, and my wife's happy to hear it all be gone, so it makes her happy.
I hear you. I have one of those too. So, is there? You talk about meeting athletes and obviously get to know them in certain circumstances. Is there an athlete that sort of make I've gotten asked this question because I've met quite a bit myself, even though I'm not you. Is there an athlete that you're still in awe of, or you get a little like tongue tied, or not at this?
If it was maybe Harrison Ford, but probably Michael Jordan, always. And I probably met Jordan 30 or 40 times, maybe more than that, maybe 50. And I worked in the media, so I used to see him all the time. Yep. I worked in Chicago media, but probably those guys. And it was I always got a charge getting both those autographs. When I got them in person, it was really cool. Even, getting Jordan going back to like 87, 88, 89, 90, getting him in those years was always a great time. Yeah.
Would you agree? I mean, it's probably I'll acquiesce to your expertise, Steve. Jordan or Mano, what's the most forged athlete in the industry?
Okay, so if you ask me like maybe like 3 years ago, I would say Mantle, but I have a feeling Jordan's. I really do, just based on what I see in the marketplace and the insane volume of them. And he's always been forged. Okay. So, they had guys forging him in Chicago for years, but anytime a player gets to that level, they're going to forge him like crazy. And in Jordan's case, I always like to say, John, that like, I think that Mantle, there's more fake Mantles than real Mantles, which I still believe by the way. But Jordan's getting up there. And now, we're looking now. I would call most of the forgeries of him, by the way, I just call them kind of amateur forgeries. They're by people who really aren't skilled, but the stuff we've seen now, the fake upper deck stuff they're doing, not all of it, but a lot of it is done very well. And especially on the cards, they have got him down really good. And it's very tough to discern, like, are these actually good or bad? You know what I mean? It's like that close with Jordan. It's to the point where I'm blown away about the amount of fakes on it.
Yeah. And we've had, as you know, numerous name scandals, including a big one even more recently in Indiana as well, which led to a person killing themselves rather than facing the music of prosecution. I mean, that's how serious this stuff is. And I read an article, again, I'm going to acquiesce to you, is here. I heard you say the Mano, there might be more Mano fakes than actual ones. And he did a lot of stuff after his career, like shows and fantasy camps and different things like that. I read an article where the FBI, I don't know the exact agent but a person from the FBI says they believe that 50% of the autographs that are in circulation are Fugazi and not the genuine real McCoy. And hearing you say that with the Mano, that's what led me to remember reading that. Do you agree with that assessment? Is the number lower, higher, or is it fairly accurate in your opinion?
I think it's in that ballpark. And I think maybe Tim Fitzsimmons said that years ago after Operation Bullpen, which he was involved in. I think he came out with that number, and I think they've further reinforced that through the years. That I wouldn't be surprised. Okay, let's say if we were talking about in the sports realm, solely, I'd say fraud is running about that high. If you jump into entertainment, which includes music, I would say you're getting closer to 65, 70. And unfortunately, a lot of that stuff is in the big marketplace out there, eBay, and they are taking great steps to improve the site. And a lot of people see it. They're not sure yet, but eBay is making moves to make it a better marketplace. They know they've had a lot of flack from people through the years. And I used to work with them in their trust and safety department when I was at PSA years ago, going back, almost 20 years. So they've actually made some recent steps to improve, and now they're moving forward with even more drastic steps, which I think they're going to implement in the next probably 6 to 8 months. But they want to clean that site up, and they want to make it a safer environment. And autograph people have always complained about it. And you know what, me as a seller on there too, I look at it and I'm like, man, I see this guy selling Harrison Ford 8x10s all day long for $80. Now, I'd like to think that those are uneducated buyers. Those are a one-time buyer, someone that doesn't know what they're doing. Maybe someone's looking at like, oh, your photo's 1,800, but this one's $80. It's the same thing. I'm going to buy that one. They don't know any different. And I think the thing that I always push towards is education, and letting the public, and listen, I look at it this way. You and I are in this sphere of this industry we're in right here, right? This is us. But we want to get to all these other people too, because there's a lot of other people out here who love collecting. I think Fanatics Fest has done a good job of that. And they've brought in people that you would normally never see in the collectible sphere. They're in there because, let's be honest, it really wasn't cool. It was never cool for any kind of athlete to say, oh yeah, I'm going to go crack some wax, because it wasn't cool to do. Or a celebrity, like, oh, you collect baseball cards? What are you, 10 years old? But now it's the thing to do. And
isn't that crazy?
I think, and it is nuts, man, because I still look back. The thing is, I've known celebrities that have collected, but they've all done it on the down low. It's not like they're going to, they're going to tell somebody on a movie set, he's like, oh yeah, I'm collecting autographs. What? Who was one of the biggest celebrity autograph collectors of all time was Johnny Ramone. And,
wow.
Johnny would go to card shows. Johnny would go, he used to go to shows in New York, California, but I went to Johnny's house in 2001 with some people, and sitting on a table, and Johnny's passed now a long time ago, but it's like a stack of envelopes like this. And I'm like, what are those? He's like, oh, it's the stuff I sent out in the mail, because he would write to guys constantly to get autographs. Meanwhile, we're up in the Hollywood Hills. He has like an $8 million house, and he's writing to like Larry Yount, because he played in one game, Robin Yount's brother. That's the type of thing he was doing. So he was a completist. He wanted a photo signed of every player who ever played baseball, even one game. So he had gone to great lengths to do that, and he had collected for years. But then once he found out he was basically, he was going to die of cancer, he ended up selling it all and get rid of it. So, but people wouldn't know that stuff because, he didn't really talk about it a lot. It's not like he was talking with his bandmates about going to get autographs or going to a show because he needed Monty Irvin. It was, for him, he just kind of kept it on the down low. But now it's cool to do it. It's very strange.
Yeah. Done a 180 and that's crazy right here. He's a celebrity himself. And he's, like you said, he's doing the TTM right through the mail.
Yeah, he's writing through the mail. I mean, I'm like, I'm scratching my head. I'm like, wait a minute. You're the biggest punk rock band of all time. One of the most influential punk rock bands ever, period. You can't debate it. It is factual. And you're writing to a guy who played one game. I'm okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Mind blown.
Yeah.
So you don't think that number's far off. You think it's fairly even, and maybe worse today with I just think the technology, right, has gotten better with time as well.
Well, what they're, the thing, okay, so you mentioned AutoPen right there. Okay, but what they're doing too is I see it like crazy. The fake certs that are getting knocked off of Beckett, PSA, JSA, Fanatics, Steiner. You can keep going on TriStar. They've all gotten hit. But the Beckett ones, I've seen on, a lot of photos. And then the PSA ones, what they do is that, just to give you an example. So back in 2002, I was out in New Jersey. I got asked to go out there when I was with PSA. They have 15,000 Kobe Bryant autographs to certify. This company did. So what they had done is bought all those in the Scoreboard bankruptcy sale. And they had to get them all certified. So we went out there. It was the first time, actually, at PSA, we ever did a small cert card and a sticker that matched. That was the first time. And we did the Kobe's, but there was no photos of him. So the website didn't have backup. It just said Kobe Bryant signed jersey. So now what they do is they go in there, they find those numbers, or they just know them because they could find them on eBay, real ones, and then they reproduce the number, the sticker, they fake the autograph and put it out there. And I've tried my best to educate people about that stuff nonstop. Like I've my YouTube channel, I've got a whole video I did about the whole thing because I'm quite truthfully mortified by it, and I want people to know what to look for. Here's what you look for with Kobe Bryant. Look for this on these jerseys. If you're getting this, it's no good. So be very careful.
Yeah, that's one thing I love about you too, Steve. I'm not just saying this because I'm talking to you. I'm saying it because it's how I really feel it's accurate. There's, like you said, the education, right? Like this is your business, but you also want people to, you're teaching them and you're hoping they learn so that they don't get burned or go down a pratfall that can cost them money and then they don't actually have what they think they have.
It's bad for our
what
business
do you-
anyway, isn't it? I mean, it's
Yeah.
bad. I mean, listen, we don't want to scare people away, right? We want people to come in and spend money and enjoy it and collect and not be scared away by buying bad autographs or getting burned on Kobe or Jordan. We don't want that. So let's try and educate them as much as possible and get the good info out there so they could actually see it for themselves. I mean, Kobe's a great example of that. Those are a great example. The Jordan stuff, the fake Beckett certs, the fake PSA certs, the fake JSA certs that are out there. I feel like I've been in the epicenter of all these big things that have happened, the forgery guys, the guys who have been busted. I just recently filmed for a documentary about Cliff Panovich, who was in Ohio, Operation Stolen Base. And I sat down with the crew this past week in Las Vegas, or just recently, basically, and we just talked about it for seemed like forever, but they're putting together a documentary about him. And he is so cocky and arrogant. He said that he knows that he could come back and do it again, and no one would even know. And I'm like, here's the thing, people would know. His forgeries were really bad anyway. They were hideous. But at the same time, you can't flood the marketplace with that stuff, that volume of bad stuff, without it getting picked off by people on eBay or people calling it out on Facebook. He would get called out and it would be over with. So, I mean, it's been enjoyable, though, to educate. I keep doing it. I do videos all the time about, whether it's Roberto Clemente or Muhammad Ali or James Hetfield or Harrison Ford or Heath Ledger. I want to educate people on what to look for and what to stay away from. And that's what I've been trying to do for a long time. Now I have more of a voice to do it. Before, I worked for PSA and Beckett. They wanted to control more of that stuff, but now I could get out there and do it on my own, and I'm enjoying it. It's good to educate.
Yep, and you're the CEO, and so I'm sure your wife's on the board of directors.
No, she's the CEO. My wife is the CEO. I take a back seat.
All right, I hear you.
There's only two of us. That's it. Grad Collection has two people. That's it. Just my wife and myself.
As long as they both are on the same page, you kind of do what you really want to do and what you're passionate
for sure
about. That was Steve Grad. Happy to have him on for, like I said in the intro, for the first time. He will be back for part 2 next Friday as well. So part 1 and part 2. And, I always appreciate guests when they say, like, hey, you can ask me anything you want. And Steve's one of those type of guys. So we really appreciate his time and making some time for us here. Check back in next week for the conclusion of our great conversation, if I may be so bold. All right, some closing thoughts and notes, and we're going to wrap up this week's episode.
Time for our Hobby is the People Announcer of the Week.
Hey, this is Herman from Personal Rips and Hobby Chat on YouTube and Twitter at 3B Collection. Reminding you to always remember, the hobby is the people.
If you'd like to be the Hobby is the People Announcer of the Week, do a WAV or MP3 file and send it to sportscardnationpc@gmail.com.